What's going down, Wargamers? Steve here. Welcome back to Command Centre Wargaming. So fantastic, everybody. Look, today we're going to be having a look and a little bit of talk about the Primaris Repulsor Executioner. All right, now it's a little bit of a controversial unit, and I've got some opinions on it, and we're going to go through sort of like the sprues, and we're going to have a look at the price. We're going to have a talk about whether it's worth it or not. We've had a little bit more information about, what's actually in the box and things since it's, it's been announced for ages, but we didn't know about the price, and there's been some controversy over the price, both online and offline and everything like that. So we're going to have a look. So first of all, if you like Warhammer, please consider liking, subscribing to the channel. We do Warhammer content very frequently and other tabletop war games as well. Painting, tutorials, list buildings, etc. And what I'll be doing is today in this video is I'll be having a look and actually showing you guys what I think could be a competitive alternative to this unit if you don't want to fork out for the Games Workshop tax. And one of our lists on here actually went really good at the ICT a couple of months ago. It turns out that we had a list a few reviews ago, and looks like that list, everything we said in here on the channel, basically ranked third in the whole event with Chaos Space Marines. It had the Dredeo Dreadnoughts, it had the Poxwalkers, it had the other stuff I had in there, which was with the Helldrakes. And I remember it's funny, everybody was slamming me about the Helldrakes. And then wow, someone, I guess, was watching the channel and basically did every single thing that I said to do. And they came third on the whole ICT with Chaos Space Marines. Amazing that. I mean, look, can we prove that it was from this channel? No, not necessarily. Someone may have come up with the idea themselves, 100%. But it is on record, and I have talked about it on the channel, exactly the same thing, and it is a massive coincidence. So at very least, it backs up the claims that I'm making on here. So pretty much everything I said was hands down in that recipe, and whether it was convenience or not, it got used, and yeah, they came third in the ICT. So that was in May. By the way, so yeah. But anyway, look, on with the video. So let's talk about this unit. Okay. Looks wise, I love it. Okay, looks wise, I love this Repulsor unit. I always love the Repulsor unit. Okay, nothing says Space Marine and Warhammer more to me than just getting a big platform and just sticking all the guns over it to the point where it's absolutely ridiculous. And the original Repulsor did that, okay, with the Gatling cannon on the top, the two las cannons here and everything. And now Games Workshop have basically stepped it up another notch and given us the Primaris Repulsor Executioner. All right, and what it's got a laser destroyer cannon. In addition to some of the other weapons, it's got this laser destroyer cannon on the main turret, okay, and a racing stripe. Okay, and so yeah, it's more of sort of like a longer range version. Well, it's meant to be more of a longer range version than the original Repulsor. So look, let's start off on a positive note. And in my opinion, this unit, looks wise, it's sexy as. All right, I love it. I love it how it sticks with the Land Raiders design. Always have. Sort of like this over archway thing. It's not like some of the other Forgeworld Marine stuff where it kind of goes a little bit off, I feel, away from the Marine designs. Yeah, so aesthetically, look, magical, all right? But look, price-wise, gameplay-wise, I'm not 100% sold. And let me sort of go through, a little bit of things with you. So first of all, now this is in American. I've stuck it in American dollars, US dollars, because US dollars is kind of like a medium we can all work between. I'm on Australian dollar, so I get ripped more than anybody. But even with euro or pounds or whatever, it's easier to sort of relate things to the Australian, to the US dollar and average it out, okay? And you can always look up the prices as well yourself, okay, if it's there. But I've stuck this on American dollar. Okay, so the original Repulsor, Primaris Repulsor, is $80 US. All right, it's $80 US. Now, the new kit all right, with the laser destroyer cannon is $100 US. So that's $20 markup, all right? $20 markup. In the case of Australia, you're looking at, I think it went up from about $140 to $165, right? That's $25 markup AUD, okay? Now, the thing is that that's kind of heading up to the $200 territory, all right? If you average up, right, if you average up or down, that's averaging up to like the $200 spectrum. That's nearly $170. Okay, now the thing is, there's a lot, $165, $170 or $100 US dollars can buy you in the realm of Warhammer. All right, and so I guess, you know, we really want to kind of work out, you know, is this unit worth it? All right, is it a viable option for your army? And if so, how can we use it? You know, and I mean, look, by all means, everybody, like if you just want to go buy it because you think it looks chat as awesome, then go for it. Buy it, you know what I mean? Like it does look awesome. It's an awesome unit. Buy 3, all good. But I'm more of a sort of a tactical player, and I sort of want to, you know, get something that, you know, is going to fit into my list the best, and, you know, what's going to do, you know, the best return on investment for the points, in my opinion. So, and really what we're looking at here is this laser destroyer, because I mean, all these stocking filler weapons, like they're all good. You know, okay, you can say, oh, well, Steve's got the laser destroyer, but like it's got like all these other guns on it. Yeah, nah, okay. So the laser destroyer, okay, has a range of 72, okay? Now that's absolutely great. But the thing is, if you've got this guy in the backfield and you're using him as a long range, like, you know, anti-tank weapon, none of this other stuff is going to be in range, okay? 72 away. Heavy bolters aren't going to be. This chain cannon, I think, was 36. I did pull up the rules here. This is for the Executor. So heavy onslaught Gatling cannon is 30. All right, so you've got this massive range difference here. So essentially, if you are going to sit this guy back in the lines, you know, you are only really realistically going to be able to use this weapon. Now, where a lot of the other weapons are going to come into play is if someone tries to, you know, jump pack in on you or deep strike in on you, then obviously this unit is going to have a lot of defense in terms of like, I mean, say a bunch of Terminators deep strike down, okay? You're going to overwatch, right? So you're going to be overwatching with a heavy onslaught Gatling cannon, 2 heavy bolters, 2 heavy stubbers, and, you know, knives, guns, sharp sticks, sonic electronic hole breakers, okay? You know, particle beam phalanxes, okay, the lot, okay? So that's really good. It does have some defense, but anti-tank wise, I'm not 100% sure because the unit is going to be very hard to hide. It's not a small unit, okay? And, you know, sitting up the back there, it's only got a 3+ armor save. It's certainly going to be a target, but like any tank, you know what I mean? So I guess it all just comes down to points, and it comes down to, is this guy worth it? Point for point. Now, the thing is that before we get into that, let's just have a look at the price itself. Okay, so for $100, what do you get? So these are the sprues. Let's have a look through the sprues. Here we can see, I'm pretty sure this is exactly the same sprue as what you get in the original Primaris Repulsor, right? And it is. I'm just sitting here and I'm comparing the two right now. Okay, cool. We're going to go over this next one here, and I'm pretty sure this sprue is exactly the same as well. All right, so flick between, yep, exactly the same. You can see me changing it over there. Okay, it's exactly the same. All right, so you look at $80 compared to $100 US dollars. Now, the only difference is that in this kit, you know, in the Primaris Repulsor kit, you get the heavy destroyer cannon. You also get some, you know, macro plasma incinerators and things like that, which can be cool for later on. All right, you know, if you need a few, you know, another plasma incinerator for something, that's great. But is it worth $20? I don't know about that. Okay, so it's yeah, and so anyway, I'm going to go back to this one. And this is the normal Primaris Repulsor sprue. Right, so you can see here, you've just got, you know, some las talons and some normal Gatling cannons and things like that, and, you know, little bits and pieces here and there. So, you know, do you get more firepower? Yes, you get more firepower. There's no doubt you get more firepower for this kit. But should it, is it worth that $20 price difference? I'm not 100% sold, okay? And stay through me the rest of the video because I'll explain to you why. I'm going to show you some better options, okay? Now, the thing is that Forgeworld better options, okay? So just stay with me. So basically, the issue I have is that, even though you've got this gun here, this heavy laser destroyer, or whatever it's called, like it's a bit of plastic there. It's another sprue. You're getting the same amount of sprues, right? So in the Executioner, you're getting 3 sprues. Now, a lot of people have been saying that because Games Workshop have it listed here, that you actually get the 4 sprues. And that's why it's $100, because basically you get like all 4 of those sprues. Okay, so if you look over here with this kit, you only get the 3 sprues. But I've heard, now I don't have access to the kit myself, but I've heard around the net, and I've done some research, and some other websites have got a hold of the kit. And the reports I've been hearing is that this is actually a mistake on the Games Workshop website, and that you don't actually get this, normal repulsor sprue with the kit. All right. Now, a lot of people have been saying that, look, if this sort of sprue was in there with it, that it might be kind of a little bit more justified that this kit was like $20 more. I still don't think it is. I really just don't think it is. I don't think, I think what they should have done, honestly, is they should have just removed or discontinued the other sprue, the other repulsor, re-released this repulsor for the same money, right? $80, and just chucked an extra sprue in there. Or even, put up 85, 90. But 100 is a little bit too steep. Kind of like what they did with a Baneblade, where they sort of like boxed it all up with all the upgrade options. So, you used to be able to buy the Storm Shadow separately. It was just like a separate kit to the Baneblade kit. And then what they did is they just combined the two and merged them all together. So I was just like, okay, look, here's this big kit. You can make anything out of it. Kind of like what they did with the Canis Rex, Imperial Knight. Like you've got all the parts in there. You could pretty much make whatever Imperial Knight you want. If you want to give it, Canis Rex's helmet, you can definitely do that. You can go ahead and do that. But yeah, so in this case, looking at it like it is, it would have been a little bit more justified, but I have heard reports that this sprue isn't in it, and it's actually a mistake on the Games Workshop website, okay? So look, we'll have to see what happens, but either way, I still don't think it's justified for the $100. Now, if I didn't already, I've already got like 2 repulsors, so I'm going to give this kit a miss personally. However, look, if I didn't have repulsors, all right, I would probably pick one up just for the look of it, just for the rule of cool. But that's as far as I'd go with it. It would be a painting project, and that's about as far as I'd go with it. If I was on a budget, okay, I have a pretty decent Warhammer budget, but if I was on a budget, if I was kind of like, if I needed to pick and choose what unit to get, this unit wouldn't even make it onto my list. And again, I'll explain later on in the video my alternatives on paper, on the field, looks wise, everything that I would go for. There are better units that you can field. But yeah, look, based on, rule of cool, buy one. The cannon does look cool, but the thing is remember, I mean, you can just pull a weapon off like another, if you've got like a spare cannon lying around from a what do you call it? From a battle tank or something, you could go through and you could basically, put that on there. It looks like my website's stuffed up. Let me just reset that. So you could basically go through and just stick that on there. It's still a Games Workshop weapon. That looks pretty close to a battle cannon to me. I wouldn't have any issues with it. I guess if you're playing full tournaments and stuff, you might get a few heroes, basically pulling you up on it. But for the most part, if I just magnetize a battle cannon onto my existing kit, switched out my heavy bolters for las cannons, I would sort of just roll with that. I just don't see, I can't justify buying, 3 of these like what's in this box right here. you know, like for a gun which I can just stick off from somewhere else. So, yeah, and I'm all for like using the official Games Workshop parts as well. I do 3D print my own stuff, but when it comes to Games Workshop stuff, I always buy the original stuff. You know, I'm not, I'm against recasts and everything, totally against it. I feel that they devalue the hobby. And that, but in terms of custom terrains and that's different, obviously. But anything that GW makes, is that I will always, you know, go and try to buy the original thing, because I just find it's, you know, they do have good quality sprues. For the most part. The resin's another story though. My Fire Raptor gunship's looking great, just on a side note, but oh my god, what a nightmare kit. That'll be in the next video. I'm going to talk about that. I had to go out and get some modeling putty because, excuse me, I've got to go through and patch the thing together. Now, the thing is, getting back to the Repulsor for a second, we've looked at it in terms of cosmetics, we've looked at it in terms of economics, you know, real life prices, real life wallet. But let's talk about play, all right? Let's go through the rules. Let's have a look at it, you know, sort of analyze it and have a look and see if it's worth it, right? Because if this thing is worth it, I'm inclined to say, well, you know, maybe, you know, you're sort of paying to play a little bit, which has always been, you know, a thing with Games Workshop. It's no secret that, you know, when they release things, they want to sell things, they'll overpower them really well. And then, you know, as the meta changes, you know, they'll basically change some things. They want to release the new thing, make that the most winning unit because they want to sell more of that. Prime example is a Knight Castellan. Okay, you know, we all know about that. You know, it should have been increased in points many like months ago. But because Games Workshop obviously wanted to wait till Christmas after they nerfed it, because they didn't want to stop the sales, they never nerfed it properly, right? And even now, I'd argue that it's still undercosted, even with the nerfs after chapter approved. So, you know, but look, that's just me, everybody. I've heard some reports. Some of our friends from the channel who are out there playing ICT games right now are telling me that, you know, the Castellan and the Knights are still rocking it. And that, yeah, they're doing really well still. So even with the points increase. So yeah, but anyway, so let's have a talk about this unit here. Now I'm going to jump over to the rules for a second. And here we have the Repulsor Executioner rules. Now, it's pretty much the exact same rule sheet as the normal Repulsor, okay? Interestingly enough, though, you've basically only got a movement 10. And this is where, like, I'm going to show you some other stuff. I'm going to show you some little tricks, you know, a little bit later. I'll show you some alternatives. You know, because at first, when you read these rules, you're like, hang on, nah. Like, you know, when I read these rules, I'm like, this unit's epic, you know what I mean? Like, this is actually a really good unit. I could sit it back at the back of the field, it's going to fire twice, I'm going to do all this damage, but it's okay, but there are better options, cheaper options, money-wise, cheaper options, point-wise, stuff that looks cooler, and stuff that has a ton more DACA and can move more freely around the battlefield. And I'll get into that, okay, in this video. So, okay, so it's a strength 8, toughness 8, wounds 16, okay, attacks, well, who cares? I'm not going to worry about that, but it's basically got them. So the ballistic skill is a 3 up, okay? So, and leadership 9, save 3 up. Now, that's the biggest thing with this vehicle, right? At least with a Land Raider, you got a 2 up. This unit is still a 3 up. Now, as I said, I got 2 of these. I've played them in games, and they just fold, right? For me, like, they always get blown off the games. Other people off the table, other people I've spoke to, similar story, right? Yeah, they look great, everything. They take it in, and it's, you know, like Adonis said to me the other day, he goes, Steve, you know what? The Repulsor is the first thing that gets blown off the table every game. I said it's the same with me. That's why I stopped using mine, because I was just like, look, you know, it's kind of like the Bradley fighting vehicle, you know? It's not a tank, it's not a transport, what is it? And it's too expensive for what it is, and it just gets blown up. Even though it dropped down a little bit in chapter proved, I still not 100% sold on it. And that's the other thing about this, you know, where I'm kind of a little bit, you know, in between. It's like, the Marines needed a transport. They needed a fast attack Primaris transport, okay? Now, yeah, okay, this is transport, whatever. But the thing is that we needed something more of the kin of like a land speeder or a rhino for Primaris, you know? We don't want to be investing 300 points to like transport troops around, okay? Especially with like, you know, a lot of the Primaris guys getting more melee options now. That's what we needed. And I'm really hoping that Games Workshop will come to the table with some new releases coming up. I know that the Blood Ravens are going to get some love, and I have a feeling that we're going to be getting a White Scars Codex as well, or something like that coming, where I think we're going to get some fast attack units and stuff like that. But, you know, the thing is that I look at this unit and I'm like, okay, it's all good. It's got the wounds, but for the points as well, why not just take like a Predator? A Predator with 4 las cannons going to do the same amount of damage, right? If you're not going to go with my other superior option, which I'm going to show you at the end of this video, then go with the good old, you know, las cannon, quadruple las cannon, Predator, quad las, you know, and it'll literally cost you like 190 points or something like that now, fully kitted up, right? As opposed to, you know, whatever this thing comes to. I think from memory it comes to about 290 or something like that. I haven't added the points up completely, but way more points. You know, and like, yeah, okay, you know, the Predator's got a couple less wounds and stuff, but the armor saves the same. There are no invols, okay? The, you know, the Repulsor gets a hover tank rule, which is basically you need to measure it from the tank, not the base, you know? And then you've got the Repulsor field attribute as well, which is subtract 2 from any charge rolls or units that declare a charge against it, whatever. I'm sorry, if you've got a whole bunch of like deep striking dudes coming down, okay, and they want to charge this thing, they're going to charge it, right? If there's a bunch of orc boys coming down, right, and you got waves of green coming at ya, they're not going to give a crap if it's 2 more. They're going to get in, okay? Or nids, they're going to get in, okay? So, you know, to me, it's a nice bonus, but I just don't feel that it's going to be, you know, worth it points-wise. And what I was saying before, like, it links back to what I was saying before, because, like, if you're using this as a long-range heavy weapons platform against anti-armor, which is pretty much what you should be using it as, you're not going to be able to use much else of this without the other weapons without putting it at risk. You know what I'm saying? So that, like, you're paying all these points for this unit, you know, that's basically not going to be doing anything. So if you chuck Marines in there, right? So, oh, but Steve, it's a transport as well. I'm not even sure if it can carry. Yeah, it can. It can transport six Primaris, less than like the other one because it's got the gun. That's ridiculous. Why would I go invest all these points into a unit with a 3-up save, with which its main feature is a long-range heavy laser destroyer, and then drive it up the battlefield right in front of my enemy? Like, that's a waste, you know? Like, it's a complete waste. So I wouldn't be using it for that reason. But anyway, the way I would be using this is as a long-range anti-tank weapon, okay? All these sort of weapons are the same as the other ones, so I'm not going to go through those too hardcore. But the main thing is here is we've got the heavy laser destroyer. It's a range 72. It's a heavy 2. It's a strength 10. It's a minus AP 4 D6 damage, right? Now that sounds really good, doesn't it? That sounds like you've got 2 las cannons, okay? You know, hopefully you won't roll your 1s, but whatever. Still, that's a solid weapon, okay? Damage rolls of a 1 or a 2 made for an attack with this weapon count as 3 instead. All right, so basically, look, that's a nice bonus as well, okay? Because it means you're going to be hitting more. All right, so, you know, it's looking good. It's looking good. You can say, well, look, I've got a strength 10. You know, I've got an AP minus 4. Las Cannon's only a strength 9. AP minus 3. D6. Okay. You know, and it's pretty cheap weapon when you put it on there. Okay. But then have a look down here. We've got the Aquilon Optics, right? Now, this is actually what makes this unit, gives this unit a chance, in my opinion. I still wouldn't take it, I don't think, over other options, which I'll explain in a second. But this one rule here, which is the equivalent optics, this is what throws it over the line. So here's the rule, okay? If this model remains stationary or moves under half speed in the movement phase, i.e. if it moves a distance in the inches less than half of the current move characteristics, all right, it can shoot its heavy laser destroyer or macroplasma incinerator twice in the following shooting phase. This weapon must target the same unit both times. Now that is pretty sweet, because what that means is if you're going to move this thing 5, right, then you can still do this. You can shoot it twice. So you're effectively going to be getting a heavy 4 strength 10 AP -4 D6 weapon. Now that is pretty crazy. And it means as well, you're always going to be doing that flat free damage, because rolls of 1 and a 2 are going to come out as a 3. So even if you roll crappy with it, you know, you're still going to be doing like 9 damage of a vehicle. Now that is freaking solid, okay? It is freaking solid. And, but again, I just feel that there are better alternatives. Now, it does have machine spirit, so you're not going to take penalties for heavy weapon fires, which makes it awesome as well. All right, the rest of it's stock standard. So the way I would play this, if you have to field it, I would have it up the back, as far as back as you can from the unit. Try to get it in cover if you can. If not, you know, use this range. Take a minimum of any other weapon that you can. So like, you know, basically, you know, heavy bolters and all this kind of stuff, like the cheapest weapon options you can. Just get that heavy laser destroyer on it. Stick it up the back as kind of like a long range anti-tank artillery. It's kind of like a mini shadow sword in a way. All right. Now the thing is that, you know, you're probably going to get your enemy going for it straight away, but you will get a few shots off. Now, at maximum damage, you're looking at 24 wounds. So if you rolled super epic with this, like flush, you could probably take out like an Imperial Knight with it, you know, if you rolled like 4 6s for damage or whatever it was, or, you know, or you can literally cripple it. So look, it is pretty solid. But once again, I think that there are better options, right? And I want to show you those options. Now, from memory, it comes in to be around about 290-ish points for this unit, depending on what you kit it out as. So, you know, it's reasonable for the points, okay? And you might be saying, well, Steve, you know, well, what's wrong with it? What are you saying? What are you crying about this time? Well, here's the thing, right? Look, I could take one of these for about 300 points, and I could have my heavy destroyer and all that kind of stuff, right? With my movement 10, you know, strength 10, all this kind of stuff. I could do that. But for the same, so for less points cost and less money cost, I can go on a Forgeworld and order this thing, okay? This is what's actually going in my 30k Alpha Legion list, right? But the awesome thing is it actually has rules for 40k as well, not just 30k, right? And this is a Legion Sakaran Venata tank destroyer, all right? And it is a absolutely fantastic unit. And I'll show you some of the 40k rules for this right now, okay? Now, I want to point to you. You can say, oh yeah, but Steve, it doesn't have like all the weapons. But the thing is, it does actually have all the weapons where it counts, and the weapons have more synergy, right? So the weapons have more synergy, okay? When they're working together. Now, let me just check something. Okay, that's $123 US. Maybe I'm incorrect. Okay, so it is more expensive cost-wise than a Repulsor. I think Australian, in this case, America's been ripped, because I looked it up in the Australian, it was like 190 AUD, so it's actually cheaper. Yeah, okay, still cheaper to buy a Repulsor, okay. But bear with me, because I would still rather feel this, because this thing is coming in at half the points. You're paying under 200 points for this guy, right? And for under 200 points, you're going to get a heavy bolter, 2 las cannons, okay, and this epic tank destroyer cannon, all right? Now, are you going to get all the socking filler, you know, machine guns and 100, you know, rocket launchers and all that kind of stuff, and the racing stripe? No. you're not going to get all that, but I would argue that there's only so much use you can have for the stocking filler weapons on this, right? Whenever I've played these things in the game, those weapons have only been useful to a degree, right? So basically, yes, so this Sakaran Venata, and what you get, I'm going to go over to the rules here up on Google, right? When I have a look at some of these rules, and you can see here, these are rules. So you've got, it's a 3-up save, same as a Repulsor. Leadership 8, which is, let me just go back to the rules here. So it's 1 less leadership, whatever. Now it's got wounds 14, so it's only like 2 less wounds than the Repulsor. It is a toughness 7, where the Repulsor is toughness 8. Okay. 3, you know, for the ballistic skill, all that kind of stuff. Okay, it's stock standard marine vehicle. But have a look at some of the weapons. So I'd just like to point out, you can choose. You do not have to put las cannons on this thing. You could actually go through, field 2 of these guys for just a little bit over than what you're going to get for a Repulsor, right? And, you know, if you go through and you kit out heavy bolters on the sponsons here instead of like these massive cannons, the tank destroyer weapons, then these guys are coming in really cheap. I wouldn't know. In my opinion, I'd be rocking out the sponsons, right, with full las. Now, the thing is this neutron pulse cannon, you're looking at a range 48. So granted, it's not a 72-inch range like the heavy laser destroyer is on the Repulsor. But have a look at this. Heavy 3, strength 12, so you got 2 more strength than the Repulsor gun. AP -4, so it's the same AP. D6 damage, right? Now, it's not a flat D6, all right? But this kind of sort of like supplements for the firing, you know, twice sort of thing. But then any vehicle which suffers wounds from this weapon but is not slain must subtract 1 from its hit rolls in the shooting phase until the end of its controlling player's next turn. Right? So you imagine, like, you go through, and this is super useful because it's almost just as good as knocking out the vehicle. Because if you nearly destroy this, you get 3 heavy D6 at strength 12, right? You go through and you got a minus AP4, and you put, let's say you roll really well, you can like take out, like obliterate a predator or something easily with this. You can even smack a land raider, okay, whatever. You know, but basically, even if you don't, if you bracket something with this, okay, where they're hitting already on a 5 because they're like, you know, below 2 wounds or something like that, or 3 wounds, and then you're minusing 1, it means they're hitting on 6s like the next turn. So that's epic, right? And I know, like, it's not as brutal as the other weapon on the Repulsor, but you've got to have a think about the point costs here, right? This is cheaper than a Repulsor. It can't carry Marines, but who cares? One thing to note, have a look. It's actually faster than the Repulsor. The Repulsor moves 10. This guy moves 14 on full wounds, right? So the thing is basically that, like, you know, even though this is only range 48, it's going to synergize with your las cannons, right? And let's face it, las cannons, unless you're playing like an apocalypse game where you've got like 2 boards or whatever, las cannons are going to be enough. And wait, there's still more, because, you know, to supplement the other weapons, right? So the firing twice of the heavy laser destroyer, you can put on 2 sponson las cannons, which are going to give you an extra strength 9 minus AP 3 D6 damage. So even though you're not shooting twice, you've potentially got more wounds than, or the same amount of wounds as what you have the Repulsor. Now, all this on a much cheaper chassis than the Repulsor. Okay, so in terms of tactical play, bit more of an expensive kit to buy, granted, okay, but rules-wise, it's more solid in my opinion, okay? And then you've got your other options here, your hunter killers, all that kind of stuff, so you can put it on there. Now, it doesn't have the machine spirit rule, but it has pretty much the same thing, which is a gyro-stabilized mounting, which means that this model does not suffer the penalty hit rolls for moving through and moving and firing heavy weapons. It's pretty much just like the machine spirit, but they use like 30k terminology, smoke launches, explodes. I think it explodes more brutally, but whatever, who cares? So here's the thing. for like 300 points, you can get your heavy neutron destroyer, which is basically going to come in, and then, you know, you'll pay like, you know, $20 extra for an extra friggin' gun. Okay, it's the same friggin' kit. And you know, yeah, okay, you might be able to kill a tank with it or something first turn, but then you're just going to get smashed, and then, you know, on the second turn, whatever. Or for like a few extra points, you can field 2 of these guys and get double, you know, even more than double the firepower, and you've got your wounds split off into 2 segments instead of like, you know, just the 1 unit. Okay, and you know, and you're moving 14, so you can move this guy around the board. All right, so this is the way I'm going to be going personally, for heavy support for Marines. You know, but that's just me. You know, one advantage I think the Repulsor Executioner has is with that, you know, rolls of 1 or a 2 count as a 3 damage, which means no matter how bad you roll, this weapon is always going to be doing a flat 3 damage. And if it doesn't move or moves half, you know, you're potentially going to be rolling at minimum of like something like, you know, 12 wounds, which, you know, providing, it's going to be pretty hard to save that unless they get involved. So look, it's actually a good tank. I think it's overpriced from Games Workshop, but it's actually on the board, it's a freaking good tank, okay? If I wasn't going to go for this option, I would buy one, okay? But in my opinion, point for point on the field, right? You know, and more Dakar, this guy, 2 of these guys will win over 1 of these, okay? I would rather have 2 of these guys rocking around the field for an extra 100 points or whatever than what it's going to cost to field 1 of them. All right? I think mathematically, it's going to work out a lot better that way. Anyway. All right, everybody, look, so we're going to wrap this video up there. Next video, I'm going to talk about my Fire Raptor, let you know the progress on that. It's going to be super fantastic. And yeah, look, if you liked what you've heard today, please consider subscribing to the channel. Epic. And I'll catch you in the next video, everybody. All right, keep rolling.